If you're telling yourself you are too busy working to invest, don't believe yourself. I just recently had a message from someone in my inbox telling me that he is too busy working to take care of his finances. And I thought this could be something that you are dealing with too. And as a matter of fact, I remembered I did too. Now I have been in this game for so long, I almost forgot. But I procrastinated for years, and the things I was telling myself were, I'm too busy, I don't have time, I do not have the capacity for this right now, and I'll start after this one exam. Now, I was still a student because I was a student for a very long time, and you'd think a student would find time to do something like that, right? So now that I think back, there was definitely enough time. But here's the thing. You can always find a reason not to take action. It's called procrastination, and there's actually a brilliant TED Talk about this. I will link it down below so you can watch it later. And the only way out of there is a reason strong enough to get you out of there. And I'll tell you a story in just a second. But once you do, so once you find a way out of there, out of that procrastination stage, and you get started with your money, I promise you, you will find that it's actually not complicated and not time consuming at all. Especially in finance, because the beauty is that you really only need to set it up once and then you can forget about it. And so to get you started instantly, we will cover 3 points. Make it urgent, make it simple, and make it inevitable. All right, let's start with make it urgent. Here's the story I wanted to tell you. So I was doing this course about food. It's an amazing course, the only course I would ever recommend to do about food. And the course instructor, his name is Eric Edmeades, he said in one of the calls that we humans, we do not understand long-term consequences. So we cannot make the connection between eating something now and getting sick by it later, like years later or decades later. In fact, we can't even make the connection between doing something now, like for example drinking alcohol, and feeling the consequences a few hours later or up to 24 hours later, like the next day. Have you had that by any chance, drinking alcohol on the evening and then regretting it the next day? And he actually said, if you imagine a bear, like a bear that is right behind you, then what do? We start running, right? We start running as fast as we can because that is a life-threatening situation for us. So in this moment, when the bear is behind us, we take action immediately, right? We start running for our life because there, the consequence for us is very vivid. But then once we realize that the bear is maybe now like 100 meters behind us or 300 feet behind us, then we're already starting to slow down a little bit, right? And then he joked about if the bear is like 500 feet behind us, we may even start taking a picture. So in this situation, because it has become less threatening for us, it's not that urgent to take action anymore, right? And so the question we are supposed to ask ourselves is, how can we bring the bear closer to us? In other words, how can we bring the consequence that we fear closer to us in order to take massive action? So when you think about money, what image really makes you afraid in the future? Is it maybe not being able to pay the bills at old age? Is it maybe having to work until you're 70 years old or even beyond that? Is it not being able to live the life in retirement that you imagined you would? And the more vivid you paint this picture, the better, because the more you are inclined to take massive action right now. So it will definitely be enough to get you started, and that's for now all we need to make it urgent. And it only has to get you started shortly because we're gonna make it simple. Now, I know that saving and investing can feel overwhelming in the beginning. You may have thoughts like, oh no, I already can't do everything that I want and now I have to save on top and do even less than I am now. Or investing is just too risky, I don't want to lose everything. Or man, this is time consuming, now I have to spend hours and hours and hours of researching investment strategies, or have to look at stocks all the time. But actually, what if I told you that we can make saving and investing incredibly simple? Let's start with saving. The simplest way to save is just to pay yourself first. If you've known me for a while, you will have heard of it 100 times, but it's just that good. I'm serious. You could even set it up right now. You can take your phone right now and you set up a transfer from your checking account to your, for example, savings account. Let's say 10%, maybe more, and you set it up and it's done. That is how simple it is. You time it to a point where your account has just been filled up by your income. And then once it's done, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to think about, can I take that coffee, or can I go to the restaurant here? So no guesswork, it's already done. You can just spend what is left. And then the same goes for investing, because despite my beliefs in the beginning, investing doesn't have to be complicated at all. I also thought I have to spend hours and hours to research stock and make stock analysis and so on in order to start investing and be successful. But actually, especially these days, all you need is one fund. One fund, that's it. I mean, for the beginning, you can still adapt later on. And one fund, an index fund, is so great because you don't have to pick any stocks. You just buy all of them. You just buy all of the stocks of one economy or one market. And my choice of fund, if I would only pick one, would be a very, very big fund that represents the whole world. So I would pick a world index fund. And to invest in that world index fund, I would pick a tax advantaged investment account first, if available in your country. And if you keep it that simple, you can get started in no time. Even the investment thing, you can do it right now. You take half an hour to open a tax advantage investment account if you haven't one yet, and then another half an hour to pick the fund. And that is already the massive action that you can take out of the strong reason you came up with in our first part, make it urgent. And I mean, it's not even a massive action, right? Actually, it's, these little actions, but they've become so big in our head. But once you've done them, it's so easy. And with those two things, saving by paying yourself first and investing by filling up your tax advantaged investment account, you have already built a mini system for yourself that will build wealth for you. And you don't have to do anything else for now. So it's not like with food where you have to make the decision several times a day, right? And that's what makes it so difficult sometimes to stick to a specific way of eating that we identify ourselves with. But here with our money, we only need to do this exercise of bringing the fear closer to us, to get ourselves to take action this once. And even if you do only those two things, you will already get ahead of 80% of people. Now there's just one last piece missing, and that is make it inevitable. And the one thing I didn't explicitly mention until now, although you may have already guessed it, you make your financial success inevitable by automating everything you can. So you automate the saving by creating a recurrent payment or a recurrent transfer so that this just gets done automatically every month as of now. And then you also automate the investment by setting up an investment plan. So half an hour to open the account, half an hour to pick the fund, and then maybe 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes to set up the investment plan for that fund. And then your bank or brokerage account automatically buys shares from that fund every month without you having to do anything. Isn't that great? And that is how you make your financial success inevitable, because you have built yourself a machine that works for you without you ever having to make a decision again. Unless, of course, you want to improve the system that you've already built. There's always ways, of course. But I wanted to make it as short and as actionable as possible. So if your make it urgent reason was so strong that you want to take an even more massive action right now than we discussed in this video and dive even deeper than we did, then you can check out my 6-week course. I'll link it down below. If you're still here, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.